So you might be a first-time home buyer or you're moving to a new area and you're trying to figure out how much cash you're gonna need to put down on a $600,000 home. That is gonna be the average home price in our area. I'm in Pierce County, Washington, so this video is for you breaking down all of those numbers. First, let's start with the down payment. Most people on their first home put down somewhere between 3.5% and 5%. Now, certainly you could put down less than this if you're using a VA loan or USDA loan or a government-backed down payment assistance program, which you're getting basically zero down. But then you also could put down more than this. And of course, sky's the limit there. A lot of people use 20% as a benchmark, but there's other ways to avoid getting that PMI off of there. And so for this video, I'm just gonna use the example of 3.5% down because that's what I see most often. So on a $600,000 home, you're immediately putting about $21,000 down in order to have your down payment. But there are funds on top of your down payment that you need to be aware of that you will have to bring to the table and you will not get back, and it's not gonna go towards necessarily the purchase price of the home. So these are your title and escrow fees, your loan origination fees, and your prepaid items, which is basically funding your escrow account up front. So starting with your title and escrow fees, as the home buyer, you're gonna pay half of your fees. So the seller's gonna pay about $1,500, you're gonna pay about $1,500 as well. That's gonna be added on to your closing costs that you are bringing to the table. Next, let's move on to loan origination fees. This is gonna differ across all kinds of different lenders. I'm gonna use the 1% number as a benchmark, but that's not necessarily the case. In fact, a lot of lenders have flat rates or no origination fees at all. And so you'll wanna have a conversation with your individual person, or if you have questions on who to use, drop a comment and I'm more than happy to get you some information on who may be best to compare. So you have your title and escrow fees and your loan origination fees, which are adding up as your closing costs. In addition to those things, you're gonna actually pre-fund your escrow account. So these are your prorated property taxes and your prorated insurance. Depending on your specific area in your property taxes, those numbers are gonna vary, but you'll fund your property taxes depending on the time of year you're in. So for this example, I'm gonna use this idea of funding about 1 month's worth of property taxes. Let's say that's about $1,500. You'll also pre-fund your homeowner's insurance. Typically, this is done with about 12 months. And so let's just use the example of $3,000 to fund your homeowner's insurance as well. So these costs are gonna all add up and they're going to be on top of your $21,000 down. And by the time you add them all up, you'll see the number here of approximately how much you'll need in terms of closing costs to purchase your home. Now, one thing that people don't necessarily realize is that there's also options for you to buy down your rate, for you to pay off your PMI, or potentially even for the seller to pay for all these costs for you. So there's a bunch of different ways for us to organize and kind of categorize it. The biggest thing that you want to make sure though is that you're able to at least cover these funds and then also have some cash in the bank left over for you so you're not house poor when you move into the home or you run into an issue maybe and need to pull money out of savings. You want to make sure you still have a reserve. So I would recommend having your down payment, having your cash to close, and then having extra sitting in the bank, at least a 3-month reserve, so that you know that you're safe from a financial perspective. If you want more help trying to figure out what the first home you could potentially purchase is, or if you're moving into the area, reach out to me. I'm Larissa and I'm in Washington State and I would love to help.